experience video. Now, before I get started, gotta give a shout out to my trusted You Guys Rock, to my crazy fam, love you guys, and to my patrons, thank you for your support. We are up to episode number 29. Yeah, I'm not gonna make it to that 30 mark and get to the end of this book, so we're probably gonna wind up pushing it up to 40. What book do you ask? Well, that's called Automate the Boring Stuff with Python. It is the same book I've been working on for a little while now. Um, Made it all the way through chapter 11, got down to the bottom of it, and didn't have enough time left to do it. So I'm going to start from right there, which is page, and I'm going to go right to it, page 259. And I stopped with clicking the page. Now, what chapter 11 does is you can actually write programs that can open up web browsers. Now, I had a little bit of difficulty with this one because of the fact that it wants to use Firefox, and it works fine with the Chrome browser, but the only problem I was having is it's so outdated that a lot of the stuff in it won't work at all. And I even tried to finagle my way around with it, and yeah, it just didn't work. So I started doing some of them. I did the little links here. Did this one, and I'll switch over to this right here. That's what I ended up on. And I was trying to follow it, and I realized that some of it was going to work, some of it wasn't. Then I got to filling out and submitting forms. And I put down there, this will not work on either Yahoo or Google because it's too old. Okay, because of the fact that login algorithms and stuff like that no longer work from basically, even 2019. The algorithms that they use now with the CAPTCHA and all these other ones, it's so hard to actually manually log into your email or anything like that unless you have this, because technically your program would be a bot. That's technically what a bot is a written program that does a certain function. So the CAPTCHA stops that. It stops it from even trying to log in as you. It can't do it because it can't say I'm a human. I'm not a bot. So that kind of put the nail in the coffin for that part of it, because I really couldn't go any further. But learning a little bit about it kind of helped me to learn a little bit more about Python coding and how you can set up different things. So with that being said, I went through it and I even did the practice. I wanted to do the practice and was going to play around with it. I figured I'd do it later, but wound up not doing it because of the fact that I had too many things going on at the time. Couldn't finish up the rest of the video from last week. Had to do it this week, so I was like, you know what? I might skip it and just not do it. And technically, that's what I did. I didn't do it. So, which brings me to, yay, chapter 12. Okay, which is 265. Let's go ahead and find my mouse cursor. 265 is where I started. Oop, put the right one up here. With working with Excel spreadsheets. Now, believe it or not, I do a lot of inventory lists for my job. So it kind of helps me out when I start looking at Excel documents, because I have to print it out, I have to walk the rows, I have to do this stuff in order to make sure my inventory is correct. Now, you think, oh well, why would you need Python crazy to do stuff like warehouse work? Don't you drive for a living? Yes, I do. I do both. But for this one, it was really exciting because my paperwork that I use for doing my inventory is put out in Excel. So I was like, oh man, I really got to get this one down. So I went into it and I delved into it. And I was proud of myself. I really got together with this one. I really rolled into it and ran into my first snare. The first snare was I have to put it over here. I ran the first one and it failed. It literally crashed because of this right here. They no longer use that function. This is an old book. So being that it's an old book, now the guys at No Starch, okay, which their link is also in the description below, at No Starch, they actually published the fixes for these. I didn't know this. Okay, I literally was beside myself, going, okay, call to depreciated function, get sheet names. Oh man, come on, are you kidding me? So now I'm scouring the internet trying to figure out how to get OpenPyXL to work with this function, or get this function, or a function that would possibly work. And I found it. Now, before you sit there and say, but crazy, it's right there. Yes, it is right there. But to a layman like me, okay, who hasn't done, coding for multitudes of years and can pick the stuff up like a dime, okay, looking at that, I'd be like, okay, wb.sheetnames. Okay, all right, so if I just put that in there, that's what it'll be, right? Yes, exactly that. That's what it was. But I didn't want to take that chance because that might be depreciated. Okay, being that it's so old that it might not be acceptable. So I went on Reddit. I read on what was that one? It's one of the ones, not Blender Artists, but it's one of the other places I look for coding problems that people can solve. And I came across one, and it said, yeah, this works, and this is how it works. And I was like, okay, that's awesome. So I put it in there, and now I'm using it, and I run into the same problem on the very next line. Now, you notice this has an S on the end, okay? All right, so does it have to have an S? I don't know. Well, when I ran it, this is what I got, and it said, hey, use this. Yeah, I used exactly that, and it says, yeah, we don't have nothing called sheet name. Well, daggum, how am I supposed to fix this problem? Okay, so all you do is you're just taking this and you're putting it here. I had to go and look online to find it out. And so now I started fixing my problem. Very next line, okay, the wb.getSheetByName, of course, no longer works. This no longer works. Okay? I don't know why I got that there, but that right there no longer works. So I had to find out why that no longer works, because I've got sheet name by sheet name here. So I figured it out, and I was like, okay, yeah, I got it. So I put it in. And as I went through each one of them. Guess what? Ran into another problem. Okay? You can't, the wb.getActiveSheet no longer works. Okay, it's another one that don't work. And I'm like, oh man, how depreciated is this, program, or this, this particular code? And so I went to the NoStarch website, and lo and behold, there it was. The old code right here, and the fixed code right here. So I went through it, and of course, I wanted to learn why. So when I was going through them, I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. And then I got really into it, because now I can create, a spreadsheet right off the bat. Whoa, I can create a spreadsheet in Python. I was stoked. I was like, really, this is awesome. I love it. So I hammed through it. I mean, I was rolling through this, and I was hamming it up. I was really enjoying it. I was actually getting into it. And as you see by all the print functions I have up here, when I ran it, it printed each line after I've already printed each line, put it in. So that way, when it says print sheet and then print sheet, it actually prints the outcome of what sheet is. And so I kept doing that because I wanted to see what it does. I want to see everything it does. I am so excited about it. And so I continued on, and I got to converting between column letters and numbers. And you can actually convert between them. So that's pretty awesome. And then I've got getting rows and columns from the sheet. So in other words, I can find out what is in each column, what is in each row, and I can get that to, the program to pull it up. oh my God, this would save me on my job because I have to deal with inventory. And anybody who's done anything with inventory sheets hates having to look through each and every single one. Yes, it's here. I know it's here. Okay? Until you get to that one where, oh no, that one's not here. That's like 1 in 500 almost on a list. So you don't want to have to go through 500 to get to that one that you're missing, right? If you had a program that had how many you actually have in inventory and how many you should have in inventory, and it compares them, it's running through and it's going lightning fast. It's like having a super robot that goes through the entire warehouse like and done. Half a minute. Half a minute and I can shave off my day. So my mind is actually jumping in feet first with this because it's like this is something that I can practically put to use right now. And that's what engaged me so far into this. So I'm digging it. I'm digging it deep. Okay. So, I learned how to get rows and get columns from the sheets. Okay, your sheet is the sheet that you're working on. There's in Excel. Let me see if I can. Let's see. Where's Open Office? I don't have Excel because on my home computers it's expensive. Okay, but I have Open Office. And where's my Excel? It'd be database. Okay. So, needless to say, if I open this up or open up the Excel sheet that's actually right in here, where's it at? I don't know why I didn't do this earlier. Crazy. Why didn't you do this earlier? Because, I don't know. So, if I open it up, okay, this is kind of how it looks in Excel too. Not exactly, but it works about the same. Okay, this is how many rows I have. And as you see, this is a really long census list. Who wants to go in there and count each and every one of these numbers? Well, that's what the program is good for. So I'm going to get all the way back up to number 1 here. And then I'm going to go back over to A here. Okay, so needless to say, I sat there and I can relate to this because this is what I do, when I'm at the warehouse. I sit there and I've got to figure out, what all's in each row that we have. And each row is one of these. Okay? It gives me the information I need on this row and information I need on this row. So we've got rows and columns. Okay? Down here, you have your sheets. These are where each one. You can add a sheet, you can take, delete sheets, so on and so forth. On a basic standard sheet, it will open up 3 of them. You got sheet 1, sheet 2, and sheet 3. Okay, but that's just to give you an idea of what we're looking at here. Okay, so I got into it, learning it a bit, and said, okay, well, I had to end on this one because now it's time to go into the next one, which is this one right here. And it was a project. It was called Reading Data from a Spreadsheet. And the census one you just saw is this one right here. Okay, it's a census in Excel. It's an old one, so it's nothing that y'all have to worry about. It's not like real politics here. It was just something that was back in like 2015 or something like that, or 2010. I can't remember exactly, but I learned so much from delving into try to figuring out what these new functions were and how to rename them or how to do them in the correct new format. So it made it a lot easier to understand these. Workbook was so easy to understand now because I made a variable. It was using Open Excel. You load your workbook in, you give it the name, and then you're going to use the workbook, okay? Because you want to look at the sheet in the workbook. So it's the workbook and the population census track, okay? So that's what you saw. You saw down at the bottom, it had this right here in the bottom of it. Awesome, right? Yeah, great. So, now I had to set it up and make it to where it fills in the county data with each county's population and tract. So I learned quite a bit about that. Now, as you see, I printed it out so it show up on the run program when I do it. I'm not going to run it because it's going to overwrite the one I already have, and I don't want to rewrite it and rewrite it and rewrite it. It's just bad juju for me. But as you see, you go through a for loop. You're going to go through, each row, and until you get to the maxed row plus 1. So when you get to the last one, it's going to say, okay, that's it. So that's all we have. So for each row in the spreadsheet has data for one status track. You got your state, you got your county, and you got your population. Okay, and then it says what sheet letter those are, what row they are, and their value. So ran through it. I was loving it because this is kind of like the stuff I'd have to do while I'm at work, doing the warehouse stuff. So when I'm on the computer, I'm actually doing them about like this. So instead of these here, I would put my stuff in and kind of limit that to where I have my certain, this goes in this row, this goes in this row, this goes in this row. And I was like, wow, I'm loving this. And then I got back into some more problems trying to figure out some of the other lingo that it had, and wound up getting through it and fighting it and got it, and then continued on to 12B, which is writing an Excel workbook. So that would be, this was that census page, okay? So this right here is actually something I can actually put in as a Py, okay, a Python file. This right here will automatically put it in, and I can run it through a program, and it can count all these up and list them all back out the same the way they used to be. This is pretty neat. It's also good for games too. So just one of those ones I had to put up just to make sure that I touched base on that. So then I got into writing Excel workbook Py, and played around with it, and I was like, okay, yes, okay, oops, got to put active in there. My WB sheets, sheet title, okay. And as I go through, once I finally started figuring out that I had to change some stuff out, it helped out a lot. And that little shortcut, because if you got this book, if you got the, automate the boring stuff, you can actually go to their website, even if you don't have it, but you can go to their website and read it online for free. Doesn't cost you a penny. You can actually have it online and be able to go through the book. But they also have a link that actually turns you over to where you have all the project files. You can actually go to another page that actually shows you what they changed, or what it was, and what they changed it to, and that helped me out a lot with this. Okay, so I had a little bit of rough starting with it because of the fact that I was trying to figure everything back out again, and got it working, and I was really into it. And then I got up to produce sales, okay, which is something else that, I don't know what happened to my produce sales. Okay, well, okay, because that was actually just a regular Python file. So if I do, where's it at? Produce sales. Okay, this is the produce sales. Just double click it to be easier. Okay, now basically he only gave you a couple to figure out, which is on the other page, and basically it just changes that. It changes how much it is per every piece of garlic. It's going to be that new price. So if you actually look in here and you're looking for garlic, which takes you a little bit of time because you got to slowly go through, and there goes the garlic, got to change it to 119, and then is there any more garlic? So by the time it's all said and done, you see how slow I'm going. This is not a short list. I mean, it's huge. Okay, and he did that on purpose. It's just actually a copy of a copy of a copy of everything. So it was one of those ones where it's like, okay, I get the idea, I get the concept, and so I went through it. And so I said, okay, well, now they have a new project called updating the spreadsheet. Okay, so you can update them. All right, so I went through that and enjoyed it, had a good time. I mean, I actually learned quite a bit from this one. You can change a lot of things by running the for loop, and the for loop is really your friend in this. And as you see, celery. Garlic is supposed to be 307. Celery is 119. Okay, but as you go through, you know, you change them all out, and it goes through. But you can also create font styles. What? You can create fonts, and that's awesome because you can do that in Excel. You just got to right click on it, go to text, and change it up however you want. But I didn't know you could do that in code. But again, it had some issues. So as you see, I put was in here, and then changed to, so that way I knew what was what. So I knew that it used to be this way, but now it changed to this way. And what it was technically was this, okay, this whole line for one, but named styles was put in there instead of style. Okay. Now the font was put up instead of down, and then the sheet A.style style.obj was no longer needed because of the fact that they had ruled that out. So now .style italic font, 24 font is what I actually needed. And it was one of them ones where I did more back tracing and trying to figure out what was going on that it actually helped me to learn. And hopefully something like that will help you learn as well, because when you have to go back over something and redo it again and go back over it and redo it again and go back, so a lot of time repetitive does help. Sometimes it's boring, and I get that because trust me, things bore me and I'm like, I don't like it being boring because I'll fall asleep. I'm pretty sure I put a few of you asleep. Okay, and I got up to formulas. And formulas, in the book, it says, when they did the corrections, it says that it didn't work, and some didn't, and I think I put that in here. Yeah. Doesn't work on OpenOffice either. Answer is it should be 500. When this prints out, it prints out as none type because there's nothing there. It says there's nothing there, and it should be 500. It should have added the A1 and A2 to make A3. Okay, so that one didn't work, and I was kind of disappointed, but you know what? I kept rolling with it and kind of find out that it was probably a problem with other programs except Excel, and I was going to take this to work and try it in Excel, but as you know, the cold, and yeah, so I had to stay home. Merging and unmerging cells was pretty neat because you can actually do stuff, because a lot of times you want to add them together so you can put bigger stuff in there. Or you want to take them away because you don't need to merge them. They all need to be the same size or something. And then you could freeze panels. Now, the freeze panel one was pretty freaking nice. I like it because even in my my warehouse inventory list, I like to have all the description at the top. And when you're scrolling through it, you forget what that is, and you got to scroll all the way back up and go, "Oh, it was that. Okay, all right, yeah, okay." That takes time, waste of effort. Well, when you freeze a pane, like a very top pane, which would be 1 on the Excel document, like A1, that would be, that would make that stay there, but no matter how much you scrolled it, it's kind of like that on a web page when it follows you down, this list, just the same thing, which is pretty cool. I liked it, got through it, enjoyed it. Then I found out you could build charts. Charts! Okay, I deal with the charts a lot, so that right there was a really good fun one. I actually had some fun doing with this one. Let's see here. One, I believe it said it couldn't do it, but it actually worked on mine, and I was happy with it because the actual chart came up like it was supposed to for OpenOffice, but it doesn't work on LibreOffice because that's what he used then. And I don't know. I believe that's on like Linux, or I get it on my Pi. I have it on my Pi, but I use OpenOffice because it's cheap and open source. It's free and open source, and so it worked fine. I was like, yay! So I made it through. Ended up on the bottom of page 295, which puts me Da-da-da! Chapter 13, working with PDFs. Let's bring that up enough to where you can see it. Okay, working with PDFs and Word documents. So that's where I ended off. And like I said, I plowed through this because, like I said, I went ahead and I ground to it. And since I was off, I went ahead and studied some more, and I actually made it through chapter 12. Okay, within this week, so I'm pretty proud of myself. Give myself a pat on the back because I think I did really good. Um, but that's all I got for this week. I'll be starting off on chapter 13, working with PDFs and Word documents next Wednesday, which will be chapter 30. Yeah, I never made it past. I'm still 5 chapters behind. So I'm gonna probably give myself to either 35 to 40 to finish this up, and then I'm going BGE, guys. Going all BGE. And on a side note, I got to give it up for a new upcoming little engine that works awesome in the old Blender game engine and a BGE 0.2.0. The only reason why I love it so much is because my buddy Day has really did some wonderful work on this software, and I'm trying to get him to understand that this is something good because people really don't want to have to dredge in and dig out the code and then find everything to do with it. They want something that they can just add some animations to, put in some characters, and let it run. And that's kind of what Day's done with the Game 3 engine. Now, I'm not going to pop up his new logo, not yet, but I may talk him into let me put it on my Oops video, and stay tuned for that because I'm going to put it up there. It's on my Discord server, though. If you'd like to join my server, just look in the description, hop on over and say, hey, where's that awesome Game 3 engine logo that these guys made? And we can go from there. And we'll talk to you and tell you all about it. But for that moment, I have to wait. But keep an ear out for Game 3. It's going to be good. All right, so until next week, we'll see you.